go from Pro-Am to Pro 2 to Pro 1. Is that a good topic?
Pro 2 to Pro 1?
You're in Pro 1, right?
I'm in Pro 1 now, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went from Pro-Am.
I went from pit crew.
And then you, okay,
Yeah.
how to go from pit crew
My pit crew.
to Pro-Am.
Many years, many moons ago.
Pro-Am to Pro 2 to Pro. He's now a professional driver. This car has tons of cool stuff in vinyl form, which makes it look super sponsored. Let's go over his sponsors real quick. So he's Achilles, Koenig, 2F, DC Racing. Oh, it's so loud. EnjukuRacing. This is like a huge title sponsor car. He's definitely a professional. Do you agree?
I mean, I work
You have
for
the Formula D
him.
livery.
Yep.
It's right-hand drive. It's like a 1,000 horsepower car. I'd say you've made it. Okay.
We're there, it's working.
So let's talk about this process. If someone wanted to do this, how many years did it take you to get here?
To get into Pro 1, I was lucky, and my first actual season of Pro-Am, we had a very awesome built car. It was S14 with an RB back then. Did about 500, and I was able to actually get very comfortable in that car really quick, and I won that championship, which was a championship in Florida, and was able to move into Pro 2 right then immediately. That was a big jump as far as driver skill and everything like that, and what it costs to run, because now I'm going from, instead of 4 or 5 rounds in Florida, I'm going to 4 rounds all over the country. And so that was a big learning experience. My first year, I think my final round at Irwindale was my best round that year. I got a 3rd place finish at Irwindale, so ended the season really well. But it took me 3 seasons of Pro 2 before I was able to really get comfortable in the driving style, as well as the competition aspect. And then my 3rd year, home track started out the year in Orlando, was able to win that round. Atlanta actually had some car issues and didn't qualify, but was able to get a 6th place finish, I believe it was, in Seattle.
In Pro 1?
And Pro 2 this year.
Okay.
And this is my final year of Pro 2. And then coming here to Texas was the final round for Pro 2, and was able to come in about 7th place, 72 points behind the lead car and number 1. Was able to come in and qualify 2nd, win the event, and was able to actually win the championship by 2 points.
Dang.
And so like it was like one of those events where like all the stars aligned, everything was working, the car was perfect, I was on my game, and it just kind of worked out, and that's what brought me into Pro 1, which was last year, my first year. And then again, it's a huge step going again up to another level.
Yeah.
You know, with Pro 2 we were limited to a 255 size tire, so we, you know, jump into Pro 1, we're able to run a lot larger tire, there's more grip, the car's a lot faster, and it's just a whole different animal. So in between Pro 2 and Pro 1, wasn't able to do a whole bunch of practice as far as like seat time with the car. Was more just, we're doing a rebuild on the car, we're going to set the car for this tire and try and do it as fast as we can. Unfortunately, ran out of time and had to start my pro season in actually our demo car for Enjuku, which is the R32. I'm gonna wait for this to stop.
And it always keeps going.
Yeah, it just keeps going. So yeah, like my first year last year, we started the first round in Long Beach in our R32, our demo car. We ended up putting the bigger FD tires on it and took that out. I broke an axle in practice, got maybe 1 full pull-in. No, not even. I didn't get a full pull-in practice before having to go to qualify, because it took us so long to get the axle changed because our spares had a mismatched piece to it, so it didn't actually work with our setup on our bearing. So I had to like pull the ends off and swap the ends out to get it going. Go out. My first full pull in Long Beach was actually qualifying 1, and was able to actually get in the show and go. And then it was like all learning experience from there, because then we were able to switch back to our S14 chassis that was ready for the 2nd round and the rest of the season. And then again, it was just like there's so much more grip, the cars are so much faster. All these guys have been at these tracks for years, and so they come out 1st, 2nd lap, and they're warmed up and they're ready to go. And I'm just still trying to figure out this car, because I haven't had time to really get much seat time in it. Had to run the R32 at the 1st round, so it's kind of hectic to kind of get into it and learn it. But now that we've been in, like, every event's gotten better. You know, we're in our 2nd season now. Everything's working smoother. The car we've got sorted out. We've had little issues beginning of the year. We got all that figured out, and now it's just a matter of seat time, practice, and go out there and do the best they can for qualifying, and try and give whoever I get in battle for 32 the best runs I can give them, and earn into the top 16.
Okay. Did we cover the original question?
We kind of veered from it.
Yeah, it's okay. What are you passionate about in drifting?
Passionate.
What do you like to talk about right now? What's interesting to you? It can be anything.
What's interesting? The
Seriously.
sunsets.
We were talking to Federico earlier, and we basically were like, what makes him interesting? I think it's sometimes easier to look at other people than yourself.
Yeah.
He was a D1 driver for over 40 D1 events. He drove for Team Orange in 2008. You know, he's been driving a Ferrari. Does Ferrari help him? Why the hell do you drive a Ferrari? All of those questions, and he gave great answers. And I know you love drifting. You have an amazing bonkers car. Like, this thing is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to talk about? Do you love the RB so much? You love 1,000 horsepower cars? Is it mind melting to drive a car that you could total out that probably costs more than $100,000 to replace?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that adrenaline? Like, what's going on here?
I think that the thing that really keeps me into the sport and into drifting itself is like the community, really. You know, it's a whole different kind of motorsport here. Like, we're out there. One, it's one of the funnest things you can do in a car, but two, like the community, like everyone really kind of helps each other. Just before this round, I, had spare parts for a car that we're planning to build in the next few months that one of the Pro 2 drivers needed in order to make this round. And they're just sitting on a shelf for me. As far as like the pieces themselves, this Weissfab kit, they're out of stock in the States right now, so he couldn't get anything in time. And I got wind of this, so I was like, hey man, I have this stuff, do you really need it? Like, I'll ship it. And I'm not the only person that's done this, for any specific driver, and people even help me out with parts and stuff like that I've needed to bring to events, and specific engine parts I need to get shipped from other countries and stuff like that. Like, the community, I think, is what is the thing that really keeps me in the sport, is because, like, we go out there and we do our best, and it's like everyone wants to see you do your best. Like, at the end of every battle, I've always gone up to and been able to shake hands with the guy that's beat me, and Lily had an awesome, amazing time. It's like, man, that was amazing runs. You did great. I made a mistake, or, I thought it was really close, but you know what? You earned it. You're going to go all the way. And 9 times out of 10, the guys that beat me usually end up going pretty far. So it's super awesome to see that and know that, like, I was able to at least go and give them a good run and see them kind of going, nearly all the way to the, the finals, or even the, top 3 or something like that. It's super awesome. So I think it's community really that keeps me, coming back and all that. The fans are awesome. They get all the support. They get to come out and, it's one of the only motorsports where you get to come and it's open pits. Yeah. So all the fans are able to come in and, like, take shelter from the sun under our tent. Like, we don't mind, come hang out, look at the car, sit in the car, ask us questions. Like, it's super open, as to where, like, some of the other motorsports, it's like completely the opposite. Like, you can't get within 10 feet of it, like, you gotta stay away. But, like, here it's just more, like, relaxed as far as, like, the atmosphere goes, but then, like, it all turns up once you go out and, like, the battles start. Everyone gets a little more aggressive, but, like, at the end of the day, like I said, it's, it's community, and everyone's just happy to be here.
Yeah.
So,
is this car enough to drift in Formula D right now?
Yeah, honestly,
and
like,
want to be competitive?
I keep finding that there's more in the car. It's just me not ready for it. Like, there's a lot more that we can put into the car. Like, the car can be way faster, and I just don't think that, like, my personal skill is ready for it just yet.
Okay.
Like, we've got the car dialed.
Because it gets scary, or because
it gets
you're not?
Terrifying, honestly. Some of the tracks, I mean, like here, like we've got, the tire wall coming into Outer Zone 4 here, and it, you're coming at it, I think this round we're maybe doing 70s or so, and it just takes a minor mistake, and then you're 7 feet off your line, and that could be enough to completely wad the car up.
Especially in a car that reacts so violently and stuff on grip as you get on and off the gas.
And then you get on the outer line that some of the other people haven't run, because obviously that's a little deeper than where the judges want you. There's no tire laid down there, there's no grip there, so like it's it's adrenaline rush. You've got to be on your game. And so, like, I'm getting more and more comfortable as the events go on with the car. This year we're on a new tire sponsor with the Achilles, and the tires is absolutely amazing, and it's terrifying how fast that the car can be once I actually air them down to some of the numbers that the other guys are running. I'm still running relatively high numbers compared to other guys that
20 or 10 or?
I'm still in like the mid 20s up nearly 30.
Holy cow.
Some of these other guys are running like 12, 11.
Have you gone down to 10 just to try it?
No. I think the lowest I've ever taken any of these tires down to was, I think, 19. And that was testing right before Long Beach. And that was in the R32, and I just didn't know where I needed to be at.
Yeah.
And it was just entirely too much. And I ended up, I think, when I had my wreck this year in the car, it was, I think we were still even running the car at 26 or 27 pounds. We took a lot of grip out, because it was still too much, and then on the run up I just gained too much speed. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is try and have as much practice as you can. But like the car's there, it costs so much to run to try and get practice time and practice days. So really, like, I'm limited to sometimes I can take it out in between rounds, but this year I've only been able to do it twice in between different rounds to get some extra seat time in it, and they've helped out tremendously. Been able to get more comfortable, add more aggressive alignment to the car, drop the tire pressure a little lower. But from where I started at the beginning of the season to now, I feel like a whole different person. I feel way more comfortable in the car. It's just, the car can do it. I just don't think that I'm 100% fully one-to-one with the car yet. So
can you explain to me something like I'm a 5-year-old? This goes back to your previous statement about grip, taking it out and putting it in. If you add more grip, do you simply add more boost and make the car be able to turn the tires faster, kind of thing, like overcome the grip to make the car faster? Is it that simple, or are you dialing back grip so the car is smooth enough to drift? Are you dialing side bite and forward bite differently with air pressure and stuff, or is that all in suspension?
It's
like, you want to tell us your thought process?
It's kind of all around. Obviously, the easiest way to take grip out all the way around for side bite and forward bite is really just adding tire pressure. And so usually most of the events for this year I've been starting pretty high, like
add boost pressure.
Not add boost.
That's dumb, but you know what I mean.
I mean, it will do it. Technically, It will take grip out of the car, but then if it does bite, the speed you'll pick up will put you in a bad place. And I found that out in Long Beach this year.
Okay.
So what we've been doing is just leaving the car at the same power all year and adapting the suspension, the tire pressures, the alignment to add and take grip out of the car. And today we had 6 runs in. We were able to do a few changes to the car. The first couple were tire pressure specifically. I got to like our mid-20s or so number, and then I went a little bit more, but let's try a suspension change, because it didn't only help with just forward bite and side bite, it helped how the car settled once it was under full throttle, when I lifted, it wasn't, shooting up as high in the rear, like unloading as much. So we play a lot of suspension stuff without having to rely on the tires so much. But if we ever like get in a pinch and we need a bit more, we're able to drop another, 5 or 6 pounds, 10 pounds even almost out of the tires and pick up a whole bunch if we need it.
Am I a complete idiot for thinking you just add power to overcome the grip and that you just keep making the car faster and faster and faster instead of just making the car, because what you're talking about is making the car easier to drive, which makes a lot more sense than making the car faster. But I think some of the drivers just simply think add grip, add grip, add grip, add power, add power, add power, make everything faster, and that's the only direction you go. That make sense?
Yeah. I believe some drivers do that, but I don't think that play comes in until after qualifying.
Yeah.
I think everyone, as far as like Thursday and Friday practice for the pro guys, we have it set to make the car respond 100% as best as we can to what we want it to do, so we can go out and do our best for qualifying to get our scores. And at that point, we're comfortable. We know the line we need to be on, and then it's add some power. All right, that's now we're just super loose. Add some grip.
So you are adding power and then grip as you do that.
It comes in usually later into after qualifying and all that. But like as far as right now, like we usually just leave the car where it's at. We started out at our base number, and then we'll start adding boost, or maybe we change a nitrous jet, something like that, and kind of add a little power, little hits here and there.
Do you have the boost on a dial so that you as a driver can just do it as you want, like in grid? Just
not on my
thinking?
setup. No. We have to like hook a computer up and all that, and play with duty cycle for the solenoid for the boost controller and all that. But it's it's pretty. They're all all the maps and everything's preset and everything's pre-done. So it's just kind of come in and just throw a couple percent duty cycle.
Would you like the ability to do it on a dial inside the car? Or would that make you greedy?
It would, honestly. I think that's where it would be. It would be like, man, you
need the team to do it for you.
Because sometimes I feel like at that point, like I would just get so anxious at the line, it'd just be like, whoop, and just like go 100% more on it, and it's just
put
like
it
way
in the
too
back
much.
of the car where somebody else has to do it.
Yeah,
where you don't
like
have
call someone. Like, but see, then at that point, I could just ask a favor of like the FD officials, like, hey, there's a knob on the back. Can you just like turn it up? Don't tell anyone. Then just turn it up a little bit. But no, we just do it through like the tune stuff we need to, just because. Yeah, there'll be that point where it's like if I do one half of a battle and I'll get like super anxious, like, oh, that was really great. I should just really add more power, and it's like really not the thing I should do. I should just go out and do a good run.
Yeah.
So we kind of kept that away from me to have easy access to.
So this is now probably, I'm guessing, one of the top 5 RB cars in the world. for
I
drift?
don't know. I'm curious.
Do you think? Like for the quality of the car, the quality of the engine, the aggressiveness of the engine package,
I would
the
say
overall
so.
thing.
Like I feel like I'm in at least like maybe the top 3, top 4 for like horsepower of RB in the States.
Yeah.
I know there's plenty more like Australia, New Zealand, and all that have like way more power than I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the States, like I think me and Literal maybe are probably the ones that have pushed them the furthest.
Yeah.
So this one here we're making this year. Oh, there's lights.
We got light.
There you go. This year we're at 800 to the tire, and which is a little bit less than we were last year. But everything's working well, and we have the ability to go up if we need to. And it's I don't know of many other RB cars in the States that are making you know really even in the 6s.
So that's the point. What's next for this car? If it's already one of the most powerful RB cars in the world, and it's already like a super well balanced chassis, I watch you out there sometimes, and like the car just works and it looks comfortable.
Yeah.
And like, you know how some cars people fight and it's like too grippy and too fussy and all of these things, and the people don't have it dialed. Like this car is super dialed.
Yeah,
You've been driving it for a long time. The thing really, really works as a drift car.
I think with a lot of the guys, they come in and they want to start out super aggressive and then dial back. And my approach is the opposite. I like to start a little on the looser, easier side, and then dial everything in, because like obviously like not driving for a couple weeks, you want to warm up, you want to get used to it. And so I feel like, you know, I don't want to go into anything too crazy, because, you know, anything can happen. You know, you can grip the carb too much, you know, you try and huck it at angle, and then it wants to grip the front end up and throw you out the other way. I'd rather have it be a little loose, maybe skate a little wide here, a little wide there, but I always kind of start my runs doing, you know, 65, 70%, you know, see where it's at, and then I'll start getting more aggressive as I feel comfortable.
All right, I led you very badly on that question. The question is what's next for, like, the engine is kind of at the end of what you can do with an RB. No, I'm just saying, like, you can go a certain amount more. What is that next bit? The S chassis is kind of like at the end of what you can do with an S chassis. It's not completely at the end, but I was gonna say, like, what do you do next? Are you gonna put another 10 pounds of boost in it? Are you going to change something? Because like there were some crazy RB cars. Remember like that Xvitter Me one? That was like 13,000 RPM. You obviously can't do that because that's like some drag thing, correct?
Yeah, like I mean, we could spin it higher technically. With ours, not much more than where we're at. We're spinning 8,200 already.
But you're gonna get unreliable for another 5,000 RPM.
Exactly, for the drifting stuff, because we're, I mean, so high in the RPM all the time anyway. The drag racing stuff, you know, or whatever else they're doing it for, they're kind of, you know, shifting gears, coming down a bit, and you know, we're just constantly just banging limiter or near it. So, and with my setup, you know, it's a 3-liter block with a stroker crank in it, so it's pretty big, you know, rotating mass. 3.2 actually.
3.2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's you know, it's a pretty big RB already. So like I feel we're about our safe zone to where we want to rev it. Probably could be okay going higher, but it's making power. I've got plenty of gear options for our winner's quick change, so I can play around with that. But I feel like our next step would be, you know, we're on a 4088 GTX Gen 2. I think our next step would be maybe going up to their new G42s. And I think that turbo is capable of 1,500 horsepower. And so...
Is it physically larger in millimeters?
It is a bit bigger. I don't know the exact numbers. It's a bit bigger than what's on the car currently, plus they changed the aerodynamics for the G series, so it just makes more power just because of the efficiency of it. So that I think is going to be my next move for next year, is to throw that on, because I don't really plan to make more power next year, but I want to make it more effectively. You know, right now the car's running about 32 pounds of boost. If I can make the same power at maybe 24, 25, a little less strain on the engine, you know, not having such higher pressures and all that, we can kind of turn things down a bit, but then have the ability also, if we need it, to turn it back up. I really want to, at the end of the year, if everything's going well with the car, I want to get one of the turbos on and put it, and kind of do a dyno shootout and see what it'll make and what it can actually do. So I feel like the motor assembly, with all the parts, everything we went with all our partners and our sponsors, like I feel like our build right now is good for 1,200 to the tire and be reliable. Like I feel like it could probably peak 1,500, you know, with the proper turbo, and then maybe probably have to up the nitrous jet a bit. But I feel like 1,200 reliable is attainable for our setup right now.
These sound like such crazy numbers.
It's silly.
For the chassis, help me understand, as you're dialing in more grip and stuff, is there something magical going on? Or do you just like, what kind of suspension are you on, Wisefab or something?
In the rear, we're actually Part Shot Max.
Okay.
In the rear.
Do you just bolt on aftermarket arms and align it to a spec that you feel is the most grip possible? Or are you doing some type of black magic is it the tires just so dang advanced and grippy? You know what I mean? That's where all the grip comes from. Like, where do you get all this FD grip?
It's a bit of both. The tires are obviously a huge, a huge thing you have to have. Like the 123S it's silly how much grip they have.
Yeah.
But also like, we're on the part shop stuff, which is off the shelf stuff, but we have modified pickup points on our subframe for additional grip and taking out any squat in the rear. BC Racing made us a custom set of
Can you repeat
shocks.
the last 2 sentences?
In the rear, we modified the pickup points in the subframe, and we've changed like how the lower AR mounts to the subframe, and taken out like anti-squat in the car. So now the car has a lot less anti-squat than it already had, so we're able to actually go up in spring rate in the rear because the car is able to squat and move so freely under the throttle and the input from the engine. So the car now, like I think I'm on maybe one of the highest spring rates in the rear of cars in FD. Like we're running a 7K spring in the rear, which most FD guys I think are in the 5s, maybe 6s range. We're in a 7, and a car that with me in it is just over 3,000 pounds. And
wait, the Ferrari weighs less than this?
no, the Ferrari's gotta be 30.
2990
There's
with him
no
in it.
way.
That's what he said with him in it. There's not a lot going on with the car when you look at it. It's
How?
It's aluminum chassis.
I mean, it's aluminum, but it's huge.
Yep.
I don't know. He's into
interesting.
magic. Yeah. I mean, the RB is a cast block. It's pretty
It
heavy.
doesn't even have subframes.
How does that work?
It has an aluminum chassis, and the arms just bolt to like little tabs, which are right on the chassis. Dude, it's mental.
I've never seen another
And the
car.
chassis, instead of it just being like just sheet metal chassis all stamped together, it's like aluminum. Have you seen like newer BMWs where the strut towers are like 3-dimensional shapes, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole chassis is like that, in aluminum. So like the inner fender and all that, like this, all this is all like that wide. And then like, angles.
Angles and bodies.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So you should go look at it.
I've never looked in depth under it.
It's not what you would think.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so if you don't have subframes and your chassis is like aluminum and stuff, like there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that.
It's cool.
Well, I guess we have it good then. We're able to modify the stuff a little bit. I think it's probably harder for him with being aluminum chassis to...
It's a Ferrari, it's perfect.
I mean, sure.
The car is really cool.
I mean, it's
just like, it looks difficult because he has to make obviously he has to do all of the engineering and stuff.
Well, yeah, because the car wasn't ever
Yeah.
supposed to do what it's doing out there, which is amazing because it actually does.
We should
an
take someone like you over there and just go show the car and like show you like, what is this?
just me be surprised.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Like so with our suspension, it's tires a lot of it. BC's come on, been on board with me for years now. We've got a custom set of shocks that works amazingly well. We have plenty of travel in them. We've done our modifications into the subframe to help with the geometry and what the car does under squat, as well as we do have multiple different alignment settings, per different track, per different gripness we want. And actually here, I think I came at a pretty just middle ground alignment. Like there's, I can throw some more toe in at it. I can maybe go a little more positive in the rear camera and kind of get the tire a little flatter, but it's comfortable. The car has plenty of speed. I had some awesome runs today following a lot of these guys, and I'm able to keep up with them at a good pace. I know everyone's really not at their 100% A game because qualifying still hasn't happened yet, but the car feels good. I'm comfortable with where it's at, and after tomorrow we get through qualifying, then we're going to start rolling in, some more grip, some changes in suspension, maybe potentially go up a couple pounds of boost, and then see where the car goes from there.
As you raised the rear spring rate, did you raise the front as well?
The front we always ran pretty high because the RV is so heavy. But this year, we ended up going to it's a 7K in the rear and we're at 11 in the front.
Okay. And do you run sway bars?
I run a front sway bar, and I have a rear on there. I start usually each round with it on to see how it does, but I prefer it off usually. But I always like to put on there just to see in case it's the past few years I've been on different tire brands and all that, so. Yeah. I don't know what I will like and what I won't with it, so this year every round I've started with it on. Usually first lap, but I'm just like, all right, take it off. Like I don't want it.
Do you use it just to add more side bite when you want it, kind of thing? By
really, I use it to kind of loosen the rear up a bit.
Really?
Yeah,
that seems counterintuitive.
It kind of works backwards, for the drifting stuff. And anytime I throw the rear bar on, it just feels like the car's more skatey and wants to kind of stay at an angle longer than I want it to. As to where when I pull the rear bar out and I kind of pitch the car at an angle, if I roll back a couple % on throttle, I'm able to get the car to transition right exactly when I want it. Sway bar takes a little bit more time. It's taking some weight off the the wheels because it's spreading the load. and so the car feels actually a bit more floaty in some of the turns and some of the tracks when I have the bar on. So like the bank tracks and all that, like I always put it on to try it, but it's usually I'm just like it's wanting to stay up there too long. I want it to come down sooner, so we pull the bar off, and it usually gets me right about where I want.
Interesting. What else you want to talk about?
What you got? Your couplers, your twist-on couplers. These things are awesome.
Those the dudes from Ferocious hooked me up with.
Yeah.
LPS. I forget the exact name of the company. LPS.
There's so many different companies that make those things.
Yeah,
now.
but these are
so
super
baller.
sick. Yeah, they're like just twist on. They're O-ringed. Like
and they have a bunch of movement.
They've got I think 12 or 15 degrees or something like that, like articulation in it. So like it works awesome, and it's like easy to pull on, like put on, pull off. Like it's no problem.
Yeah. What's your next major modification you're gonna do to the car? What's your dream mod?
To the car. I mean, not a Jay-Z, not happening. I don't know. Like I'm really, like I said, I'm really happy with where it's at right now. I feel like I just would like more time in it, so I can drive it at its more aggressive setups and get more comfortable in it. Like I said, there is more in the car at its current setup. It's just I don't think I'm ready for it yet, and I want more time in it before I will turn it up to those levels.
Okay.
So like right now, like the car, I'm pretty stoked with where it's at. Like,
cool.
I don't know.
That's good.
it feels awesome. Yeah.
Do you ever bring it out to local events?
It's been a while. We haven't this year. We've gone to our local track and we've rented it out and just done like some private test days and stuff like that. Every once in a while, like if I go to a local event, we'll usually take the shop R32, like the demo car out, which is.
You want more front seat time, right?
I know you need more seat time. Yeah.
Wouldn't
He
that be a
stuck
good
around
time?
before it on our Sunday event.
Yeah.
after.
It was what last year before.
Yeah, your car was fast. And again,
silly.
it's super smooth while it does everything, and a lot of the cars, again, are not smooth when they're doing stuff.
Yeah, no, it's, like I said, I think, me and the team have figured out an awesome setup for the car, and like I said, there's, another 30-40% in it. It's just, I don't think I'm quite ready for it yet. I want to get a bit more time in it, and then we'll start adding more speed to the car, add more grip to the car, and be, way more aggressive in the chase runs.
All right. What's the ultimate seat time car?
Ooh. Is there like a budget involved, or?
A budget you can afford without sponsors.
Without sponsors.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to go into the Z's, man. Like everyone seems to be like killing it with the 350Zs. Like,
they work so dang
they're
well.
They're super cheap. They work well.
And if your friends have them, they're all the same speed. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a big deal. Because right now, who do you drive with this car if you're like practicing and having fun?
Yeah, I don't really have.
It's too dang fast.
Yeah,
you need another FD car.
Exactly. Yeah, and like the only time I would ever actually get like good like chase practice like that would be if we take our Pro 2 team car out, 350Z out, and try and chase that. But that also is a whole different level of
you
car.
You can also destroy both your team's cars in one.
If one of us makes a mistake, then we don't make the next round. So that's why we don't test, so often.
All right, what tire size front and rear for your car?
We're on a 255 35/17 in the front, and a 285 35.
So you like staggered?
Staggered, yeah.
Why not a 285 up front?
I don't think it'll fit.
No, I get it.
I was
if
terrified
you could make it fit, would you want to try a 285 up front?
I would try it, absolutely.
Yeah.
The biggest front tire you can put on it, go for it and try it. If it'll fit and work and you're comfortable with it, run it.
I one day just started running 265s all the way around on my car just to make it easier because you don't have to carry extra wheels and tires. I was just like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing this my whole life?
And everything was so much nicer.
Yeah. And you just always have fresh tires for the front because you'll just take the fronts off and put them in the back sometimes.
It's true, yeah.
What size wheels?
The fronts are 17x9 with a plus 25.
Yeah.
And the rears are an 18.9.5 with a plus 25.
Okay. So you're not doing like 10.5-inch stretch baller looking thing? You like them skinny so that you get the sidewalls up and down, or any thought process?
Sidewall's pretty straight. I could probably go a little bit wider in the rear with the 285, but it's fine where it's at. We do run a little bit of a spacer in the rear, just to kind of fit the body, and it takes actually a little bit of side bite out. So some rounds I will play with spacers and add spacers and move, from one side to the other and see how it goes. But right now we're running, I think, a 20 mil on both sides in the rear.
Can you feel a grip difference as you widen and narrow your wheels with the same size tire when you drive? Like, can you specifically?
Not me specifically, no, not with the wheels. Like if it's the same size tire, I feel it's about the same. You might notice a little bit. You might notice to get at this, I don't know, like you play with tire pressures, I guess I could say. Like usually when you're on a little more narrow wheel, you kind of, I think, want to run a bit higher so it's not rolling around as much. And then like some of the stuff that's more flat, you can kind of run a bit lower without worrying about it like debeating or anything like that. But I don't really feel much of it. If anything, we're within a couple pounds, and it's maybe just mental at that point.
Hydro or cable?
I've always had hydros. I've never had a car that had a working cable, so.
Even in your Hachi days?
It never worked.
Oh, wow.
It would just slow the car down really fast.
Yeah. No e-brake.
Yeah, like I even like.
All right.
I had an MR2, and it was just like all I had was shift lock.
E85 or race gas?
Race gas.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I've run ethanol in a few different setups before, and it's very aggressive and harsh on the engines. And I just kind of steered clear from it because I had pulled some motors apart afterwards, and it's harsh on oils and stuff like that. Like everyone knows you have to change your oil more often. You know, it likes to pull in moisture and all that with the ethanol, and it's just like, it's a lot more maintenance to it, and then as well it's a lot harsher on everything. You've got to have an upgraded fuel system for it, injectors, everything, and it's just like, my whole fuel system is ready for it if I ever decide to go to it, but I've just had so much better, more consistent results with the race gas.
What type of motor oil?
We're on AMSOIL.
Okay.
And it's a 1550.
Oh, that's thick.
Yeah, we run heavy oils because sometimes you don't know if the car's going to have overheating issues or anything like that. So I want to have, you know, the big, you know, the higher, thicker oil that I can in case, you know, the oil tips ever get super high. I don't want ever the oil to run super thin on me and fail.
Trying to think. Need good questions. I'm failing. What's your front suspension? Like the arms and stuff.
Front's all Weissfab.
Okay.
Yeah, we're running.
Why do you mix and match that?
I got really comfortable in the Weissfab front super early in my S13, and then when we switched over to the S14 chassis, the 13 was actually on GK stuff back then, and we ended up having some part shop stuff around at the shop, and I put that on and played around with it, and I'm very lucky at the shop we have our own alignment machine, and I spent a lot of time under the car playing with different traction arm lengths and seeing what that specific suspension would do under a certain amount of squat and setup, and got super comfortable with certain setups that I like. And I'm afraid to change it to any of the other brands now again that change, you know, pickup points and the, you know, the suspension geometry in the rear, because I know it so well, and I'm able to go, you know, I want 30 or so % more grip. I know what changes I have to do. I'm just gonna stick with it. So
fair enough. Rear mount radiator or front mount?
It depends on the power. My car is rear mount, but up front there's really not too much room for it. Also, we wanted a little bit of weight balance to kind of put in the back. Again, RBs are pretty much boat anchors, they're heavy. So we threw that in the back with a really large Flexlite radiator. I think my cooling system holds like 9.5 gallons of like water in it. So my temps have been amazing for the past few seasons. I haven't had literally any worry about it. If I ever see like over 200, I'm like surprised. And it just kind of helps balance the car out. So, you know, usually you lose a lot of seat time in some setups when you're having overheating issues, and anything we can do to fight it, we're gonna do. So rear mount worked because one, it held a bunch more fluid, and two, we were able to put, you know, just a larger radiator and everything with it, so it just works better. Cool.
Makes sense. All right, I think we're done. We'll keep bugging you. Thank you so much for all your time and answering a bunch of questions.
No problem.
It's cool to get to talk to people like Kevin, because he's pushing S chassis as far as they go, kind of thing.
Too far sometimes, I reckon.
No, I know, but it's cool because you probably 10 years ago wouldn't have thought that you're like one of the people pushing them as far as they're going to get.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you want to tell anybody thank you, like EnjukuRacing or anything specific?
I mean, everyone that's on the car, obviously, I can't thank enough. You know, the main guys are Enjuku, BC Racing, Achilles Tire, Comp Clutch. You know, you guys are my main supporters for the season, and for this, you know, for getting me out here in all the events. So you guys are, you know, I can't thank you guys enough, as well as literally everyone that's on the car. And even my back window on the car is actually just like people I've met along the past few years that are just fans and supporters, like their drift teams, their car clubs and all that. Like my whole rear window is set for like those guys. So you know, they're, you know, also a big part of what I do as well, because like they're the ones that are following me, they're my supporters. So literally any sticker and every sticker that's on the car is nearly equal. I really can't thank you guys enough for the support, and I hope I'm doing you guys proud and pushing the RVs far, and we're pushing for the top 16, and I hope this is the round we get it.
You know what the #1 thing is going to be on this video in the comments on YouTube? Australia, New Zealand have better RBs.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, they do it better. You should have lessons from him.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I got an Australian block. So.
How about Drift Squid, Jake Jones? Do you talk to him at all about RB
him
stuff?
and I have actually talked a few times. Yeah, back
Okay,
and forth.
cool.
Yeah.
Who has a better engine, you or him?
I think his.
Because he spends his like 10,000. He pushes his pretty damn hard. I mean, you do yours hard too, but like, what's the better thought process? Would you rather spend it to 10,000 or run more boost and nitrous or something and spend it lower and have which is a bigger power band?
I think my power band might be a little better than his because I think I might make more torque than him and make it earlier because I'm on the 3.2 liter displacement where I think his is a 2.8. But where mine has the better torque curve because it's got more torque for longer, his just has horsepower for 2,500 RPM longer than mine.
Does his sound better or yours?
I think his does.
Okay.
His sounds mental. It's cool.
You want a different chassis than an S chassis? Do you want to do a BMW like him or something weird?
We're looking into potentially going into the 370Z stuff. So
Okay,
that's
cool.
that's on the chopping block. We've got a chassis at the shop that we're going to start cutting up and dissecting here soon.
Why?
It's just the newer thing. Obviously, the S chassis are getting old, and with motorsports, we want to kind of be on the newer stuff. Like,
Makes sense.
Eventually, like the way the suspension works in this car is going to be outdated.
Get a new Supra and put an RB in it.
I've talked to a lot of people about that, and I really want to do it. They're just a lot of money. So
No, I know.
I mean, even then, like
Get an FRS and put an RB in it. That'd be hilarious.
I could. Like, I've looked into them
They're
a little
good
bit. The rear suspension on them just seems kind of funny with me, and I don't know a whole bunch about it, but from what I've just seen visually, just by quick glances at it, it seems like they're kind of limited.
Yeah.
A lot more than what I am with like the S chassis so far. So that's kind of something I've just steered clear of because I don't want to have to fight to try and find grip.
We're spoiled with S chassis and we change out of them just for the hell of it, if you know what I mean.
Pretty much, yeah. So,
That's
but
dumb.
I mean, I'm totally fine with going to like an S15. It's an S chassis, but it's newer. Or I've always had my eye on like the weird stuff, like Sephiros, Laurels, Astasia. I'm totally fine with building an FD Stasia.
That would be too much work.
Why not? It's an S chassis pretty much in the rear. Like,
I know, but all the body panels and making it look cool, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and it'd probably be really heavy being it's a wagon, but it'd just be really cool to see like a full, massive, like, bodied wagon out there.
Yeah. Would you want to drag around all that extra weight and all that extra hassle? You're like, yes.
Yeah, honestly.
Yes.
RBs came in them stock, so like it's just perfect.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. The steering's already on the right side where it needs to be, and it just works.
Fair enough. I always just see that stuff, and in my brain, I'm one of the people that goes through like the build and all that stuff, and like all the effort, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah, I've always been into the oddball, hated, weird, unique cars, and like that's one thing I've always really liked was the Stasias. And I was like, it's pretty much an S14 rear suspension. The front, I think, is very similar to like R34 stuff, which is very, like very able for drifting. There's R34 and Pro 2 that's out there, and so like why not just have a wagon? It'd be kind of cool. So
Makes sense.
Osmo's doing it. It's like a little small one, but it's it's out there. So
All right. Is there any car you're jealous of out there that you want? What's the coolest car in Formula D?
it's not here anymore.
What was it?
My favorite car was my rookie year in Pro 2 in 15. It was also, I think, his rookie year in Pro 2 as well, was Andy Gray's JZX 100 Chaser.
Oh,
That was,
you can get one of those.
yeah, I can get him now, but like, that was like just his livery,
The
the way the
ballerness.
car looked, it was.
People weren't even aware that those things existed back then.
Yeah. Like I knew what it was when it showed up, and I was like, oh, that thing's cool as hell. Like, I need it. But they're just not super common to come by. You can get them, but
Yeah. I have one if you want.
I'll say you have one. Yeah, right. You're just still over in Japan,
I have
right?
one coming right now.
Oh, is there another
100.
one?
Yeah.
You can give it away.
I think I've had
Like
like
giveaway car? What event am I gonna be at?
I've had about 8 or 9 of them. I could give it away. That might be fun.
Dustin Miles brought his Formula D car out.
Yeah. We had a bunch of people compete. Chelsea came out even.
Yeah.
And then a local Harrison won it. All right, we're really done this time. Thank you so much. All right, bye.
man. See ya.
Enjoy your time. Thank you so much to all the Lone Star Drift sponsors, such as BC Racing, Koyo Rad, Spec, Clutch, GK Tech, Kinda Tires, Inky Wheels,
Garrett Turbo, Wiring Specialties, ECU Master, What Monsters Do, AAM, and NRG. Thank you so much, everybody, for making Lone Star Drift possible and for supporting our drivers and events and everything else. And thank you to the crowd for everyone supporting our new Patreon account. Thank you so much. It helps us create more content. I appreciate it. Bye, everybody.